Aaron had always dreamed of exploring the stars from the time he was a boy. He stared at the night sky and imagined distant worlds full of life and adventure. Now, as a young explorer aboard the Starship Horizon, he finally had the chance to see a world no human had ever seen. The ship descended slowly through the thick, colorful atmosphere of the alien planet. Outside the window, the sky glowed with shades of purple and gold, and mountains rose like jagged crowns from the ground below. Rivers of silver light twisted across the plains, reflecting the brilliance of the twin suns above. Aaron felt a mixture of awe and nervousness. He had trained for this moment for years, yet nothing in his training could have prepared him for the sight of a world so beautiful and alive. The crew around him moved with purpose, checking instruments and preparing for their first steps outside the ship. Aaron adjusted his suit and took a deep breath. He had learned to remain calm, even in the face of the unknown. But something about this world made his heart race. As they stepped out onto the surface, the air was thick but breathable. The scent was unlike anything on Earth, a mixture of flowers and fresh rain. Towering plants waved gently as if greeting them. Aaron's eyes widened. Every detail of this place seemed designed to overwhelm the senses. The crew began to explore, carefully documenting everything, but Aaron felt drawn toward a distant structure that rose from the center of the valley. It looked like a palace, tall and elegant, made of materials that shimmered with an inner light. A soft voice spoke through their communicator. "Welcome, humans." The sound was calm but commanding. Aaron froze, trying to place the tone. "Who is that?" he asked. The crew shook their heads. None of them had expected to be greeted so soon. They followed the path toward the palace, unsure of what awaited them. When they entered the grand hall, Aaron felt a chill run down his spine. The space was enormous, with ceilings that stretched higher than the tallest trees on Earth. Walls of polished crystal reflected the light of the twin suns, creating a soft, radiant glow. At the far end of the hall, a figure sat upon a throne. She was unlike any being Aaron had ever seen. Her presence was commanding. She wore a robe that seemed to float around her, and her eyes held a depth that made Aaron's heart pound. The queen rose as they approached. Every step she took seemed purposeful, full of authority and grace. Aaron bowed instinctively, aware that any disrespect could have serious consequences. The queen studied each member of the crew carefully, her gaze sharp and intelligent. Then, her eyes fell on Aaron. In that moment, he felt as if she could see into his very thoughts. A shiver ran through him. "You are far from your home," the queen said. Her voice was gentle but firm. "Tell me, human, what brings you to my world?" Aaron swallowed. "We come in peace," he said. "We are explorers sent to learn and understand your planet." His voice was steady, though his hands trembled slightly. The queen's eyes did not soften. Instead, they seemed to examine him, judging his honesty and courage. "Peace is a word," the queen said, "but actions reveal truth. Will your actions match your words?" Aaron nodded, feeling the weight of her expectation. He could not speak further, for the queen gestured, and servants brought forward a figure that made his heart stop. The daughter of the queen stepped forward. Aaron had seen images of royal heirs before, but nothing could have prepared him for her. She moved with a natural grace, her hair flowing like liquid silver and her eyes reflecting the colors of the sky outside. Her presence was calm, yet there was a strength in her posture that made Aaron feel both awe and fear. She looked at him once, and he felt as though the world had shifted. Aaron's mind raced. He had trained to face dangers in the farthest reaches of space, but this was different. He had not expected to meet someone so remarkable. The daughter smiled briefly, a subtle curve of her lips, and Aaron realized that even small gestures from her carried weight. His cheeks grew warm. He could not look away. The queen spoke again, her voice echoing in the vast hall. "Do not fear her, human. She will not harm you unless you give reason. But understand this, she is not ordinary. Treat her presence with respect." Aaron bowed again, carefully keeping his eyes lowered. The daughter watched silently, her expression unreadable. He could feel the gaze of the queen and her daughter as a pressure. That urged him to act with caution and honesty. The crew began to speak with the palace attendants, asking questions about the world, its resources, and the people who live there. Aaron tried to focus, taking notes and observing the surroundings. But his attention kept drifting back to the daughter. She moved through the hall with elegance, observing the visitors, yet never speaking a word. Aaron wondered what thoughts ran through her mind. He had met many intelligent beings before, but none that stirred such curiosity within him. Hours passed as they explored the palace and its gardens. The architecture blended seamlessly with nature, creating an environment both awe-inspiring and peaceful. Water flowed through channels in the walls, carrying light along with it. Strange creatures walked freely, observing the humans with curious eyes. Aaron felt a mixture of wonder and humility. He had traveled across countless light years, yet this moment felt like the beginning of a story far greater than he had ever imagined. As the sun began to set, the twin moons rose, casting a silver glow over the landscape. Aaron stood near a balcony, gazing at the beauty of the world. He felt small, but also alive in a way he had never known. The queen appeared beside him, her presence commanding attention even in silence. Aaron turned, unsure whether to speak or remain quiet. She studied him carefully, and for a moment, Aaron wondered if she could sense the thoughts he had tried to hide. "You are brave to come here, human," the queen said softly. "But bravery alone will not define you on this world. You will be tested, and the choices you make will matter. Watch carefully, listen always, and remember that every action has meaning." Aaron nodded, feeling the weight of her words settle deep in his chest. The daughter appeared behind the queen, and for a fleeting moment, Aaron met her gaze. There was no judgment, only quiet observation. He felt a strange mix of fear and admiration. Unable to look away yet unsure what he should feel, he realized that his journey had only begun. This world, the queen, and her daughter were not merely a destination. They were a challenge, a puzzle, and perhaps the beginning of a story far beyond his imagination. As the night settled over the alien world, Aaron knew one thing with certainty. His life and the lives of his crew would never be the same again. The next morning, Aaron woke before the crew. He could hear the soft hum of the palace around him and the faint sounds of alien birds outside. The world beyond his window seemed even more alive. In the morning light, colors shifted and danced across the sky as the twin suns rose slowly, casting gold and pink over the landscape. Aaron felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. Today, he would meet the queen and her daughter again. He could not predict what might happen, but he knew it would be important. The crew gathered in the main hall as instructed. The room felt alive, as if it could sense tension and curiosity. Aaron noticed that the palace attendants moved quietly, their steps deliberate and careful. No one spoke loudly. The queen had commanded respect, and even the smallest gestures of the humans were noticed. Aaron straightened his posture and tried to focus, but he could not stop glancing toward the throne. He felt the weight of the previous day, when he had seen the queen's eyes fixed on him as though she could read his thoughts. The doors at the far end of the hall opened with a soft hiss, and the queen entered, her robes flowing around her like liquid shadow. Her presence was calm but impossible to ignore. The attendants and the crew fell silent, all eyes on her. Aaron's heart beat faster. He bowed deeply, remembering the queen's warning from yesterday. "You have explored much of my palace," the queen began. Her voice carried authority and curiosity together. "You have observed my world, but now I must know something deeper. You have seen my daughter. You have walked with her presence near you. Tell me, human, why do you avoid her gaze?" Aaron froze. The queen's question was direct, unrelenting. He glanced at the court, feeling the eyes of every being in the hall on him. His mind raced. How could he answer honestly without disrespecting her or causing offense? He knew that words were more important than strength here, for a simple answer could change the way the queen saw him forever. He looked toward the daughter, who stood a few steps behind the queen. Her eyes were calm, her expression unreadable. Aaron felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had admired her silently since the moment he first saw her. Now, the queen asked him to explain why he had not acted, why he had not spoken, why he had not responded to her daughter's presence. Aaron took a deep breath. "Your Majesty," he said carefully, "I do not avoid her because I dislike her. I do not dare to love her because she is too beautiful." The hall went silent. Every head turned toward him, and for a moment, Aaron feared he had spoken foolishly. The attendants froze, and even the crew looked uneasy. Aaron's words had been honest, but he had no idea how they would be received. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, studying him with intensity. Aaron swallowed hard and bowed again, hoping that honesty would protect him. The queen did not speak immediately. She paced slowly, her robes brushing the polished floor, and then stopped in front of Aaron. Her gaze was sharp and calculating. "Too beautiful," she repeated softly, almost as if tasting the words. "You speak truth in a way most do not. Few dare speak such words to me. Few dare to be honest before my daughter." Aaron's heart beat faster. Was she angry, displeased, or was this something else? The queen turned slightly, and for a moment Aaron could see the faintest shadow of a smile on her lips. "Your honesty is unusual," she said. "Many would lie to protect themselves. You speak with courage, and yet with caution. That is interesting." From behind her, the daughter stepped forward. Aaron's eyes met hers. She did not speak, but her gaze lingered on him longer than expected. There was no judgment in her expression. Instead, there was curiosity, as if she were trying to understand the meaning of his words. Aaron realized that she was listening, not to the sound of his voice, but to the intention behind it. The queen continued, "I have seen many who have come to my world, humans who sought knowledge, trade, or riches. Few have understood the weight of honesty, and none have spoken to me about my daughter in this way. You, human, are different. Perhaps you possess a spirit that I have not yet encountered in others of your kind." Aaron felt a mixture of relief and anxiety. He was being recognized, but the attention made him even more aware of his own shortcomings and fears. "Understand this," the queen said, her voice softening slightly. "Your words will have consequences. You have admitted a fear, yet you have admitted truth. That is the first step to understanding what it means to walk in my world and to stand near my daughter." Aaron nodded, trying to show respect while keeping his composure. The daughter finally spoke. Her voice was soft, musical, and yet firm. "I have heard what you said. Human, your honesty is unusual. Most speak only to flatter or to hide fear. Why do you speak differently?" Aaron hesitated, unsure if it was proper to answer her directly, but he found himself drawn to the simplicity of her question. I speak truth because I cannot hide it," he admitted. "Your presence is unlike anything I have known. I do not wish to lie, for lying would be easier, and easier is not always right." The daughter studied him, tilting her head slightly. Aaron noticed her eyes glimmer with faint curiosity, as if she were seeing the truth in him for the first time. The queen watched their exchange silently, her expression unreadable. Aaron felt a strange mixture of fear and hope. He had spoken honestly, and yet he did not know if this honesty would help him or cause trouble. The queen finally spoke again. "Human, you will remain in the palace, not as a prisoner, but as an observer. You will learn our ways, our customs, and the meaning behind our actions. And you will have many chances to prove yourself, not with words alone, but with your spirit." Aaron bowed deeply. "I will do my best, Your Majesty." The daughter stepped closer. Though she did not speak, Aaron noticed her presence felt calm, yet carried a quiet strength. He realized that this world, the queen, and her daughter were not just tests of courage, they were lessons in understanding, patience, and respect. He had entered a world full of wonders, but it was also a world where one wrong action could have serious consequences. As the humans were shown to their chambers, Aaron could not stop thinking about the daughter. Her gaze, her silence, and the way she seemed to see beyond words made his mind whirl. He understood now that this journey was more than exploration. It was a test of character, of honesty, and of courage. The queen's question had opened a door, and what lay beyond was uncertain, yet full of possibility. That night, as Aaron lay on his cot in the palace, he thought about the queen's words and the daughter's gaze. He realized that beauty was not only in appearance, but in strength, in presence, and in the power to command respect without force, and he knew, deep within him, that his life on this alien world was only beginning. The days after Aaron's encounter with the queen passed slowly, yet each moment seemed charged with quiet tension. Aaron remained in the palace as instructed, not as a prisoner, but as a guest under observation. The palace was alive with movement, yet every interaction was measured. Attendants moved gracefully through the halls, and the walls themselves seemed to hum with energy. Aaron could not help but notice how every being here seemed attuned to the rhythm of this world, as if harmony itself governed their actions. The daughter, whose name Aaron now knew was Lyra, moved through the palace like a living shadow of elegance. She spoke rarely, and when she did, her words were measured, carrying weight far beyond their sound. Aaron watched her from a distance, learning to read her expressions and gestures. She seemed aware of everything, from the smallest detail in the gardens to the subtle changes in the crew's behavior. Aaron felt both fear and fascination. Lyra's silence was not emptiness. It was an observation, a study, and Aaron could not predict what thoughts passed through her mind. He tried to engage with the palace attendants, asking about customs and history. They spoke politely, yet always redirected his attention to Lyra, or to tasks designed to observe him. Aaron realized that every action here was a test, not of skill alone, but of character. He had trained for space travel, for navigation, and survival. Yet nothing in his experience could have prepared him for this subtle challenge. To survive, he had to understand more than the physical world. He had to understand intention, spirit, and truth. One morning, Aaron found himself in the palace library, a vast hall filled with translucent shelves holding knowledge in forms both familiar and alien. Lyra appeared there as well, moving quietly among the shelves. She paused at a window and looked at the landscape beyond, her posture relaxed yet commanding. Aaron hesitated, unsure if he should speak. "I see you every day," Aaron said cautiously, breaking the silence. "Yet I know almost nothing about you." Lyra turned her head slightly, her eyes meeting his. She said nothing, but the corners of her lips lifted in a subtle acknowledgement. Aaron understood that she had heard him, but she had chosen not to respond. He realized that her silence was a form of communication, a test of patience and understanding. Over the next several days, Aaron continued his observations. He noticed that Lyra rarely spoke with the attendants except when necessary. Instead, she moved among them, guiding with gestures and gentle commands. The humans in the palace began to respect her presence. Even without words, Aaron began to understand that Lyra's power was not in loud declarations or displays of strength, but in the quiet authority of her being. One evening, Aaron wandered through the palace gardens. The twin moons cast silver light across the blossoms, and the air was filled with the scent of alien flowers. Lyra was there, walking slowly along a path lined with glowing plants. She did not speak, but her eyes seemed to notice everything: the movement of the wind, the shimmer of the leaves, and Aaron's hesitant presence. "I feel as if this place has its own heart," Aaron said softly. "And you are a part of it." Lyra stopped and turned fully toward him. Her gaze was steady and thoughtful. Aaron's heart pounded. He had never been looked at like this before. He realized that Lyra's silence was not a lack of interest, but a deeper awareness. She saw his thoughts, his intentions, and even his fears without a word being spoken. Aaron felt a mixture of awe and humility. "You understand more than most humans," Lyra said finally. Her voice was calm and musical, yet carried authority. Aaron bowed slightly, respecting her presence. "I try," he admitted. "I have learned that words can hide truth. I do not want to hide my thoughts here." Lyra studied him for a long moment, then nodded once. Aaron felt a quiet connection forming, subtle yet undeniable. For the first time, he understood that relationships in this world were built not on words alone, but on observation, understanding, and sincerity. The queen summoned Aaron again soon after, calling him to the throne room. The air felt heavier this time, filled with anticipation. Aaron knew that the Queen's challenges were coming, though he did not yet understand their nature. As he entered the hall, the Queen's eyes met his, sharp and calculating. She did not smile, but there was a hint of curiosity in her expression. "You have spent time in my palace, human," the Queen said. "You have observed and learned, but understanding is not complete until tested. You have shown courage and honesty and patience in observation. Now you will face a challenge that will reveal the strength of your spirit." Aaron felt a shiver of anticipation. He had faced many tests in his life, but none like this. The Queen gestured toward a door that opened to a vast chamber filled with shimmering light. Within, he saw a series of trials, both physical and mental, designed to challenge skill, judgment, and endurance. Aaron realized that this was more than a test of survival. It was a test of character, of values, and of integrity. Lyra followed him to the chamber entrance. She said nothing, yet her presence was reassuring. Aaron felt strength in her silence. She did not need to speak to support him. Simply being there was enough. Aaron understood that their connection was growing, subtle, and unspoken, built on observation, respect, and honesty. The Queen's voice echoed through the chamber. "Your first trial will begin with a choice. Courage is not only measured by action, but by the understanding of consequence. Choose wisely. Human, for your decisions will reveal who you truly are." Aaron stepped forward, feeling both fear and determination. He knew that the trials would be difficult, but he also understood that each challenge was an opportunity to show not only skill but the values that made him human. He had come to this world seeking knowledge, yet he was learning something far greater, the meaning of integrity, patience, and quiet courage. As he began the first step of his trial, Aaron glanced at Lyra one last time. Her eyes met his, calm and knowing. He felt a strange sense of reassurance, as if her silent presence carried the confidence he needed to face the unknown. Aaron understood that this was only the beginning. The palace, the Queen, and her daughter held lessons far beyond anything he had imagined. And the path ahead would test every part of him, his mind, his body, and his spirit. That night, as Aaron rested in his quarters, he thought of Lyra and her silence. He realized that understanding someone did not require words alone. Sometimes, observation, respect, and honesty spoke louder than any declaration. Aaron felt a sense of purpose growing within him, a certainty that his journey on this alien world would not only challenge him, but also reveal the true measure of human courage and integrity. Aaron stood at the entrance of the first trial chamber, taking a deep breath. The room stretched far beyond what he could see, filled with shifting light and strange structures that seemed to move subtly as if alive. He remembered the Queen's words. Courage was measured not only by action but by understanding consequence. Aaron knew that every choice he made here would be observed, every movement noted. Lyra stood at the far end of the chamber, silent as always. Her gaze followed him. With intensity, calm but attentive, Aaron felt a mix of fear and reassurance. Her presence reminded him that honesty and patience mattered as much as strength. With a final glance at her, he stepped forward. The first trial was a test of observation and agility. Panels of glowing energy rose from the floor in unpredictable patterns. Aaron had to navigate across the room without touching the panels, which would trigger alarms and force him to start over. He noticed subtle differences in the rhythm of the energy pulses, and he used careful timing to move safely. Every step required focus. Aaron realized that rushing would not help him. Understanding the pattern was more important than speed. He reached the far side of the chamber and felt a surge of relief. But the trial was not over. A series of gates appeared, each with a puzzle etched into its surface. Symbols shifted and moved, creating patterns that seemed impossible to solve at first. Aaron knelt and studied them carefully. He remembered the Queen's words about observing before acting. Slowly, he began to notice connections between the symbols, recognizing a logic that made sense once he saw it. With steady hands, he pressed the correct sequence, and the gates opened. Lyra's eyes flicked with what Aaron thought was approval. She said nothing, but her attention felt encouraging. Aaron realized that she had not come to guide him directly, but to test his ability to think, to act, and to understand. Her silence was as much a part of the trial as the puzzles themselves. The second trial was more dangerous. A corridor opened, filled with a swirling storm of crystal-like winds. They cut through the air with a force that could tear through even the strongest suit. Aaron could hear the sharp hiss of the winds as they moved, unpredictable and fast. He had to cross the corridor without allowing the storm to touch him. Aaron stepped cautiously. Moving in rhythm with the gusts, he noticed the way the winds shifted, the subtle pauses in their movement, and used those moments to advance. His heart pounded, and his mind raced to calculate every step. The corridor seemed endless, but Aaron kept moving, focused entirely on survival. When he finally reached the end, he collapsed briefly to catch his breath. The challenge had tested his patience, his observation, and his courage all at once. The third trial was mental, designed to test wisdom and judgment. Aaron entered a chamber filled with illusions that mimicked his deepest fears. He saw visions of the crew in danger, of failure, and of being rejected by the queen and her daughter. The illusions were vivid and convincing, designed to unsettle even the bravest. Aaron paused, taking a deep breath, and reminded himself that these were not real. He focused on truth, honesty, and logic, moving steadily through the illusions without panicking. Each step was a victory. Aaron realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to continue despite it. When he reached the center of the chamber, the illusions faded, leaving him in a calm, light-filled space. Aaron felt a sense of accomplishment, yet he knew that the trials were only part of the queen's larger plan. After the trials, Aaron was led back to the palace gardens, where Lyra awaited. She moved gracefully toward him, her expression calm but unreadable. "You performed well," she said. Aaron bowed slightly, unsure how to respond. "Thank you," he replied. "Your presence, it helped me focus." Lyra's eyes softened. Briefly, "You understand that strength alone is not enough here," she said. "Patience, observation, and honesty matter equally. Do not forget that." Aaron nodded. Her words echoed in his mind. He had begun to understand that this world was not conquered by force or cleverness alone. Understanding, respect, and integrity were as important as physical skill. In the days that followed, Aaron continued to face challenges, each one designed to test a different aspect of character. One day, he had to navigate a maze filled with creatures that could detect fear. Aaron's heart raced as he passed through the twisting corridors, but he kept calm, remembering Lyra's silent support. Another day, he solved a puzzle that required him to understand the ecosystem of the palace itself, predicting how plants, water, and energy interacted. Each success built his confidence and earned subtle recognition from the queen and her daughter. Through it all, Lyra watched quietly. She never offered direct help, yet her presence was constant. Aaron realized that her silence was not indifference, but trust in his ability to act with honesty and wisdom. He felt a bond forming, unspoken yet undeniable, as if her observation alone carried meaning. One evening, Aaron and Lyra found themselves near the twin moons in the palace gardens. The air was filled with the scent of alien flowers, and the light cast long, silver shadows across the ground. Aaron spoke cautiously. "I did not know what to expect when I arrived here, but I have learned more than I could have imagined." Lyra tilted her head slightly. "You have learned that strength alone does not define a being," she said. "You have learned to see, to think, and to act with integrity. That is what matters here." Aaron nodded. "And you have taught me." Without speaking, "I think I understand now why the queen watches so closely. Her tests are not just of skill, they are of spirit." Lyra's eyes met his, and for the first time, Aaron felt a full connection beyond words. Her silence had guided him, her presence had strengthened him, and her observation had challenged him to rise above fear and doubt. Aaron realized that his journey was not only about surviving the trials, but about growing as a person. The queen appeared at the edge of the garden, observing the two quietly. Aaron felt a sense of anticipation. The challenges were far from over, yet he understood that he had begun to earn respect. Not through words, not through flattery, but through courage, patience, and honesty. As the night deepened, Aaron looked at Lyra one last time before returning to his quarters. Her expression remained calm, yet there was an unmistakable acknowledgement. In her gaze, Aaron understood that this world, with its challenges and lessons, was teaching him something far greater than survival. It was teaching him about integrity, understanding, and the true measure of courage. He lay on his cot that night, thinking about the trials he had faced and the silent guidance of Lyra. Aaron realized that his life on this alien world would not only test his mind and body, but also his heart, and he understood that the lessons he learned here would shape the person he was becoming, preparing him for challenges that had not yet come. The palace was quiet, the moonlight spilling across the gardens, and Aaron felt a sense of determination he had never known before. He was ready for whatever trials lay ahead, knowing that observation, patience, and honesty were the greatest strengths a human could carry. The palace gardens were alive with soft moonlight as Aaron walked along the glowing paths. The twin moons cast silver reflections across the alien flora, painting shadows that danced lightly with every movement of the wind. Aaron had spent many days in this place, learning the rhythm of the palace, observing Lyra's quiet presence, and facing the trials the queen had set for him. Yet tonight felt different. A sense of anticipation hung in the air, and Aaron could feel that something important was about to happen. He turned a corner near a fountain of sparkling water, and saw Lyra standing there, looking out at the distant mountains. She had been silent for hours, and Aaron hesitated, unsure if it was proper to approach. Still, the pull of curiosity was too strong. He stepped closer, his footsteps quiet on the stone path. "You move through this palace as if you understand it," Lyra said softly, breaking the silence. Aaron's heart jumped at the sound of her voice. He had spoken to many beings, but her voice carried a calm authority that made him both nervous and fascinated. He bowed slightly. "I try my best," he said, "but I still have much to learn." Lyra turned to face him, her eyes reflecting the soft light of the moons. "I have watched you closely," she said. "You do not speak many words, yet I feel that your thoughts are honest. Why do you speak differently than most humans who have come here?" Aaron thought carefully before answering. He wanted to speak with truth, for he had learned that honesty mattered more here than cleverness or speed. "I speak as I feel," Aaron said. "Your presence, it is unlike anything I have known. I cannot lie when I see it. I cannot pretend. It feels wrong to hide what I think." Lyra studied him for a long moment. Her gaze was gentle yet penetrating, as if she were weighing every word and every intention. Aaron felt exposed but safe at the same time. He realized that her silence before had not been distance, but understanding. She allowed him to reveal himself freely, without judgment. "Your honesty is rare," Lyra said. "Most fear the consequences of truth, yet you have spoken it. Even knowing the queen's power and the rules of her palace, that is unusual." Aaron nodded. Feeling the weight of her words, he understood that he was not being praised lightly. Lyra's observation was careful and exacting, and her approval, even quiet, meant more than he could express. The fountain's water glimmered as a gentle breeze stirred the garden. Aaron looked at Lyra and felt a strange calm. He had faced storms, illusions, and trials in the palace, but this moment was unlike any of them. There was no challenge, no immediate danger. Instead, there was understanding, a connection that required patience and honesty. He realized that Lyra's presence alone was a kind of trial, testing his perception, his respect, and his humility. "Why do you fear to speak to me?" Lyra asked suddenly, her voice breaking the quiet again. Aaron blinked, taken aback by the directness of the question. He had not realized that his hesitation had been noticeable. He thought carefully before answering. "I do not fear your presence," he said, "but it is overwhelming. You are perfect in ways I cannot fully describe. Your strength, your grace, your being, it is unlike anything I have known. I do not want to make a mistake or seem foolish." Lyra's eyes softened slightly. Aaron felt a warmth in his chest, a subtle comfort in her understanding. "Do not mistake my presence for perfection," she said. I am not flawless. I have fears, doubts, and responsibilities, yet many see only what they desire, not what is real. That is why you are different. You see me, not as an object of beauty, but as a being with depth. That is why I listen to you now. Aaron took a careful step closer. I have learned much from watching and listening, he said. I have seen the strength in silence and the power in patience. I have learned that understanding comes not only from words, but from attention and care. Lyra nodded. Her eyes reflected something like quiet approval. But Aaron could tell that she was measuring his sincerity, not simply accepting his statements at face value. They walked together along the garden path, the glow of alien plants illuminating their steps. Aaron felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. He had faced dangers in the palace, yet nothing had challenged him as much as this simple conversation. Lyra's words carried truth, insight, and subtle challenge all at once. He realized that his respect for her was growing, not because of beauty alone, but because of her mind, her wisdom, and her ability to see clearly. You have changed during your time here, Lyra said after a moment of silence. You are no longer just an observer. You act with purpose, with thought, and with care. That is why the Queen watches you closely. That is why I watch you. Aaron felt a surge of determination. He had trained for space missions, battles, and survival. Yet this place tested a different kind of strength, honesty, judgment, and integrity. Thank you, Aaron said simply. I will continue to learn. I will continue to act as honestly and carefully as I can. Lyra's gaze softened further, and for a brief moment, she smiled. It was not a grand expression, but it carried meaning. Aaron felt a rare warmth in his chest, knowing that even this small acknowledgement was significant. They reached a terrace overlooking the palace grounds. The twin moons reflected in the rivers below, and Aaron felt the beauty of this world in a way he had never experienced. Lyra stood beside him, silent again, but her presence was reassuring. Aaron understood that words were not always needed. Her silence had taught him patience, observation, and the subtlety of trust. Now, her voice had added depth to the understanding he had been forming. You are not like other humans who have come here, Lyra said softly. Most would be distracted by beauty or by fear. You have seen clearly, acted honestly, and spoken with truth. That is why I speak to you now. Aaron bowed his head slightly, feeling both humility and pride. He realized that he was being recognized for qualities far deeper than skill or courage alone. The night continued to deepen, and the garden grew quiet. Aaron felt a sense of calm he had never known before. He had faced trials, illusions, and fear. Yet this conversation with Lyra carried a different kind of challenge, the challenge of connection, of understanding, and of sincerity. He realized that the Queen's tests were not only about survival, but about the heart and mind. As they parted for the night, Aaron returned to his quarters with a renewed sense of purpose. He had faced the first real test of honesty and connection, and he had succeeded not through force, but through observation, patience, and truth. He understood now that Lyra's presence was both a challenge and a guide, teaching him lessons that no training or manual could provide. Lying on his cot, Aaron thought of Lyra's words and her calm gaze. He realized that beauty alone was not the source of fear he had felt. It was the combination of wisdom, presence, and quiet strength that had been overwhelming. He understood now that respect, understanding, and honesty were the greatest strengths he could carry in this world. Tomorrow, he knew, would bring new challenges. The Queen's trials were far from over, yet Aaron felt ready. He had learned to observe, to act with care, and to speak with truth. And he had begun to understand the subtle power of the one being he had feared and admired most, Lyra, the daughter of the Queen. The palace was quiet, and the moon shone brightly above. Aaron closed his eyes, feeling a sense of hope and determination. His journey was far from complete, yet he had begun to understand the meaning of courage, honesty, and the true measure of a person. Aaron awoke to a quiet palace morning. The twin suns shone softly through the crystal windows, casting patterns of light across his quarters. Today, he knew, would be different. The Queen had summoned him once more. He could feel the weight of anticipation, a mixture of curiosity and nervousness pressing on him. After days of trials and observation, he had learned much, yet he understood that the Queen's greatest test awaited him. The palace corridors were filled with soft movement. As Aaron walked toward the throne room, attendants bowed respectfully. As he passed, and the hall seemed to hum with the rhythm of life itself. Lyra walked silently beside him, her presence calm but attentive. Aaron felt reassured by her quiet support. Though she had spoken only a few times, her guidance through observation had shaped much of his understanding and confidence. As he entered the throne room, the Queen stood in the center, her robes flowing with grace. Her eyes met Aaron's, sharp and assessing. "Human," she said, her voice calm yet commanding, "you have faced the trials of my palace. You have shown honesty, patience, courage, and observation. Now you will face the challenge that will reveal your true character. This is not a test of skill alone, but of heart and spirit." Aaron bowed deeply. "I will do my best, Your Majesty," he said. His voice was steady, though his heart raced. The Queen's challenges had grown more complex with each day, testing not only his mind and body but his judgment and understanding. The Queen gestured, and a door at the far end of the room opened to reveal a vast chamber. Aaron stepped inside, and his eyes widened at the sight. The room was filled with strange structures and glowing paths, shifting as if alive. In the center, a pedestal held an object covered by a shimmering cloth. The Queen's voice echoed through the chamber. "Before you lies the heart of the world," she said. "It is a source of great power and knowledge. Many have sought it, yet few have understood its meaning. To succeed, you must retrieve it, not by force, but by wisdom, respect, and understanding. Choose your path carefully, for each step will reveal who you truly are." Aaron approached the pedestal cautiously. He studied the surrounding area, noticing the intricate patterns in the floor and walls. He could sense that the chamber itself was alive, responding to his thoughts and actions. Every step required attention, for the wrong movement could trigger traps or obstacles. Aaron understood that the Queen was testing not only his skill but his ability to observe and act with integrity. As he moved closer, a series of barriers emerged. They were not physical walls, but illusions designed to test his judgment. Aaron paused, observing each illusion carefully. One depicted the crew in danger, calling for help. Another showed him alone and lost, unable to continue. Aaron remembered the lessons from previous trials. He focused on truth, not fear. He moved steadily through the illusions, aware that panic would lead to failure. The final barrier was a mirror of himself, reflecting every doubt, every fear, and every mistake he had made. Aaron stared at his reflection, feeling the weight of his journey. He could see the fear in his eyes, the uncertainty in his posture, and the hesitation in his hands, yet he also saw courage, patience, and honesty. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, accepting the reflection of himself as part of the test. When he reached the pedestal, Aaron removed the shimmering cloth. Beneath it lay a crystal orb, glowing softly with a light that seemed alive. He felt a surge of energy, a connection to the world itself. The heart of the world was not just an object of power. It was a symbol of understanding, responsibility, and integrity. Aaron realized that the Queen's challenge was not to take it, but to comprehend its meaning. He knelt and placed his hands gently on the orb. Images and sensations flooded his mind: the growth of the alien forests, the rhythm of the rivers, the lives of the creatures that lived in harmony with the palace. Aaron felt a deep respect for the balance of this world. He understood that power without understanding could destroy it, but wisdom and care could protect it. The Queen's voice filled the chamber again. "You see clearly, human. You understand that true strength lies not in dominance, but in respect and comprehension. You have passed the greatest test of all." Aaron felt relief and pride, yet he remained humble. He understood that this acknowledgement was rare and meaningful. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes reflecting the light of the heart of the world. "You have done well," she said softly. Aaron felt a warmth at her words. "I have learned from observing you and from the challenges you presented. Your guidance, though silent, has taught me more than I could have imagined. Lyra nodded. Your actions have shown honesty, courage, and wisdom. That is why you have succeeded. Many would have failed, not because of strength, but because of lack of understanding. You have proven that human spirit can rise to meet challenges with respect and integrity. Aaron stood, feeling the weight of her words. He understood that the trials, the palace, and the queen's observation had shaped him, not by force, but through challenges that tested every part of his being. He realized that survival alone was not enough. Understanding, respect, and honesty were the true measures of character. The queen approached, her presence commanding yet calm. She extended her hand toward Aaron. You have faced the heart of the world with clarity and courage. You have shown that your heart is true and your spirit strong. You have passed the ultimate test. Aaron bowed deeply, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment. He knew that this recognition was not given lightly, and that it reflected not only his skill but the growth of his understanding. You have learned much, the queen continued, but the journey is not over. You will remain in my world, for there is more to discover, more to learn, and more to understand. Your presence here is not a burden but a bridge between our worlds. Remember that knowledge without respect is empty, and strength without understanding is dangerous. Aaron nodded, absorbing every word. He felt a sense of purpose stronger than he had ever known. The challenges had tested him physically, mentally, and spiritually, but they had also revealed the depth of human courage and wisdom. He realized that the queen's world was not merely a place to explore, but a realm that demanded integrity, respect, and care. Lyra stepped closer, her gaze calm yet full of meaning. You have earned respect, she said softly, not through force, but through observation, patience, and honesty. That is the greatest achievement of all. Aaron bowed slightly, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. He understood that her words carried weight beyond what he had experienced in his own world. As they left the chamber together, Aaron felt a sense of transformation. The palace, the queen, and Lyra had challenged him in ways he could never have imagined. He had faced illusions, tests of courage, and trials that measured every aspect of his being. Yet through it all, he had learned the meaning of patience, honesty, respect, and understanding. That night, as Aaron rested in his quarters, he thought about the heart of the world and the lessons it had imparted. He understood now that the true measure of strength was not in action alone, but in comprehension, care, and integrity. The queen's challenge had revealed not only the depth of his courage, but also the power of human spirit when guided by truth and honesty. Aaron closed his eyes, feeling a profound sense of purpose. Tomorrow would bring new experiences, but he was ready. He had passed the ultimate test. Yet he understood that this was only the beginning of his journey in the palace. With Lyra and the queen watching, he knew that every action would continue to shape him, teaching him more about the world, its people, and the true meaning of courage and wisdom. The palace was quiet in the early morning, bathed in the soft light of the twin suns. Aaron walked through the gardens, feeling a sense of calm that he had never experienced before. The trials, the challenges, and the queen's tests had transformed him. He no longer felt like an outsider in this alien world. Instead, he felt connected not only to the palace and its people, but to the values that guided it: honesty, courage, and understanding. Lyra appeared at the edge of the garden, standing beneath a towering alien tree with silver leaves. Aaron approached, and she turned to him with a calm expression. You have completed the trials, she said softly. You have shown the strength of mind, body, and spirit. Yet there is one choice remaining, one that will define the future of both our worlds. Aaron looked at her, curious and attentive. What choice? He asked. I have faced challenges, illusions, and tests. I have acted with honesty and care. What remains now? Lyra stepped closer. The queen has watched your actions and your decisions. She has seen your courage and your understanding. Now, she wishes to know if your loyalty and heart are true. You may choose to remain in this world, to serve and learn, or you may return to your own world with the knowledge and wisdom you have gained. Your choice will show the depth of your character. Aaron paused, considering carefully. He thought of his home, the stars he had traveled among, and the life he had known. Yet he also thought of this palace, the lessons he had learned, and the bond he had formed with Lyra and the Queen. He realized that his experiences here had changed him. His understanding of courage, integrity, and responsibility had grown far beyond anything he had known before. I wish to stay, Aaron said finally, his voice steady. I have learned much in this place, and I wish to continue learning. I wish to serve, not out of fear or obligation, but out of respect and understanding. I choose to remain here, to honor the trust the Queen has placed in me. Lyra's eyes reflected approval and a hint of warmth. Your choice is wise, she said. It shows that your heart is true. You have not chosen for comfort or safety, but for growth and understanding. That is the greatest measure of courage. The Queen appeared then, her presence commanding yet gentle. She observed Aaron closely, her eyes reflecting both curiosity and pride. Human, she said, you have faced trials that many would fail. You have shown honesty, courage, patience, and wisdom, and now, in choosing to remain, you have demonstrated loyalty and understanding. You have proven that the human spirit can rise to meet any challenge with integrity and strength. Aaron bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty, he said. Your guidance and the lessons of this palace have taught me more than I could have imagined. I will continue to serve with honesty, courage, and care. The Queen extended her hand toward him. Then it is done. You are no longer merely a visitor or a student. You are a part of this world, a bridge between our people and a living example of what it means to act with integrity and understanding. Your presence will be a gift to our world as much as ours has been to you. Lyra moved closer to Aaron, her gaze steady and thoughtful. You have learned to act with care, to observe and understand, and to speak with truth. That is why you are welcome here. The trials have ended, but the journey continues. Together, we will learn from each other and grow stronger. Aaron felt a surge of gratitude and determination. He had faced dangers, tests, and illusions that had challenged every part of his mind, body, and spirit, yet he had emerged not only victorious but transformed. He understood the meaning of true courage, the value of honesty, and the power of patience and observation. The palace seemed to respond to his choice, as if it recognized the harmony in his decision. The gardens glowed softly, and the air was filled with the subtle hum of energy. Aaron realized that this world was not only alive, but guided by principles that valued wisdom, integrity, and respect above all else. He felt honored to be a part of it. Over the next days, Aaron began to take on responsibilities in the palace. He assisted with the study of the ecosystem, the management of resources, and the understanding of new technologies. He worked alongside Lyra, learning from her and sharing knowledge from his own experiences. Their partnership was quiet but powerful, built on mutual respect, observation, and honesty. Aaron no longer felt the need for words to define their connection. Their understanding was unspoken but complete. One evening, Aaron and Lyra walked to the highest terrace of the palace. From there, they could see the twin moons rising over the mountains, casting a soft silver light across the landscape. Aaron looked at Lyra and smiled. I have never known a world like this, he said. I have faced challenges I could not have imagined. Yet I have learned more about myself than ever before, and I have learned the value of honesty, patience, and courage in ways I will carry forever. Lyra nodded, her expression calm but filled with meaning. You have grown, Aaron. You have proven that the human spirit is capable of much more than even you realize. You have earned respect not through force, but through integrity, care, and understanding. That is why you are here. Aaron looked at the horizon, feeling the soft wind on his face. He knew that his journey in this world had only just begun. The palace, the Queen, and Lyra had opened his eyes to a new way of living, thinking, and being. He understood that true strength was not measured by conquest or power, but by the courage to act with honesty, wisdom, and respect. the queen appeared beside them, her presence serene yet commanding. She observed Aaron and Lyra with careful eyes. "The trials are complete, yet the journey continues," she said. "Human, you have chosen wisely. Your heart is true, and your spirit strong. The future of our worlds may depend on the lessons you carry, the choices you make, and the understanding you demonstrate. Remember that knowledge without respect and power without care are empty. You have proven that humans are capable of rising to meet great challenges with integrity." Aaron bowed once more, feeling the weight and honor of her words. "I understand, Your Majesty," he said. "I will serve with all that I have learned. I will act with honesty, courage, and respect, and I will continue to grow and learn." As the sun set, Aaron, Lyra, and the queen stood together, overlooking the palace gardens. The light of the twin moons reflected in the water, painting the landscape with silver and soft blue hues. Aaron felt a sense of peace and purpose he had never known before. He realized that he had not only survived the challenges of this world, but he had grown into a person capable of understanding, compassion, and courage. Lyra turned to him, her eyes calm but filled with meaning. "Your journey has just begun," she said. "The palace, the queen, and I will guide you. But your choices will shape the future. Remember that strength is not an action alone, but an observation, care, and understanding. That is what makes a being truly remarkable." Aaron smiled. "I will remember," he said, "and I will continue to learn, to serve, and to act with integrity. I am ready for the journey ahead." The queen observed them both, a faint expression of satisfaction in her eyes. "Then it is done," she said. "You are part of this world now, and your presence will bring honor to it. The trials have ended, yet the lessons will continue, as they must for all who seek to understand and grow. You have proven that humans are capable of courage, wisdom, and integrity beyond measure." As the night settled over the palace, Aaron felt a sense of fulfillment and hope. He had faced trials that tested every part of him, learned lessons that would last a lifetime, and formed bonds that transcended words. He understood now the true meaning of courage, honesty, and wisdom, and he was ready to embrace the challenges and wonders of this alien world. With the queen and Lyra by his side, Aaron knew that the journey ahead would be filled with discovery, growth, and understanding. The palace, with its mysteries and lessons, had become his home, and he was determined to honor the trust and guidance he had received. Aaron looked at Lyra and then at the horizon, feeling the soft light of the twin moons on his face. He smiled, knowing that he had not only survived the trials, but had grown stronger, wiser, and more complete. The challenges had tested him, yet they had also revealed the best of what it meant to be human. And in that moment, Aaron understood that his place in this world was not just as a visitor or a student, but as a being who had proven that courage, honesty, and understanding could bridge the gap between worlds, and that the human spirit could rise to meet any challenge with integrity and strength.